Alright, today we are going to do the second half of this Digits 5.3 that we started yesterday, and today we're going to be learning how to find the slope of a line when we're just given 2 points. So the title for today on the next clean sheet of notebook paper is Slope of a Line, and then in parentheses put points. And then the EQ for today, how can I determine the slope of a line from 2 points on a graph? Hit pause and set up your notes for today. When you're ready to move on, hit play. Alright, how can you determine slope from 2 points on a graph? You can find the slope of the line by subtracting the coordinates of any 2 points on the line. The first y-coordinate you use for the rise must belong to the same point as the first x-coordinate you use for the run. I'll explain what that means in a second. But what I need you to copy down is this up here and this little formula over here. Slope equals change in y over change in x. And you may even want to put in parentheses the subtraction sign for each of those because we're going to be subtracting the 2 points. So we're going to be subtracting the y values and then we're going to be subtracting the x values to get the slope. So copy down this up here and also your little formula. Okay, here we have an example on the graph of how you could use rise over run to find the slope, but what we're going to be doing today is when a graph isn't necessarily provided to you, when you just have 2 ordered pairs, 2 points, how do I find the slope? So we subtract the y's, that's the change in y, and then we subtract the x's, that's the change in x, okay? Now, I'm going to show you a little abbreviation for change in. In math, when we say change in, there's a symbol. It's a Greek symbol, delta. So write this out to the side. That's supposed to be a triangle. Delta y, that means change in y, over delta x, that's change in x. This is the formula I'm going to be using for slope in this lesson. And just remember that the triangle, we're not talking about a triangle, that is the Greek symbol delta, and what it means is change in y over change in x. Okay, so when you see me writing this formula, that's what I'm talking about, change in y over change in x. All right, example 1, do this with me in your notes. I want you first to write down these 2 ordered pairs. Write those 2 ordered pairs down. Everybody write those 2 ordered pairs down. Now remember, in an ordered pair, we have 2 numbers. The first is the x value, and the second is the y value. If you don't know that, make yourself a note of that in your notes. The first number is the x value, the second number is the y value. So, I'm going to label x, y, and then x, y over my points. So that I remember when I'm finding the change in y, I know which numbers are the y's. When I'm finding the change in x, I know which numbers are the x's. Okay? Next, we want to write the formula we just learned. Change in y over change in x. Remember I told you that to find the change in y and the change in x, we're going to subtract the y's and subtract the x's. And we have to go in the same order for both of the y's and then the x's. So I'm going to write down 2 minus 4, those are my y values, 2 minus 4. Okay, now since I took the 2 first and then the y second, when I do my x's, I'm going to do it in the same order. So I'm going to say negative 3 minus 2. Negative 3 minus 2. So see how we took the y's, those numbers, and put them on top here. Then we took the x's and we put them on the bottom here, subtracting them. Now we just have to use our integer rules to find what these would be. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. I am almost done. The last thing I need to notice is what is a negative divided by a negative? When the signs are the same, my answer is positive. So the slope here would be 2 over 5. Okay? Example 2. Everybody do this with me in your notes. Same thing, I first want you to copy down the 2 points. copy down the 2 points. So here we have 6, 1, and we have 8, negative 5. After you copy down the 2 points, let's label X, Y, and then X, Y. Okay? Next, I'm going to write my formula again. Change in Y over change in X. See if I change colors, it writes better. Change in Y over change in X. Alright, now I'm going to take my Y values, Y and Y, and I'm going to subtract them. So 1 minus, and then we have negative 5. We'll deal with that double negative in a second. Then I'm going to do my X's in the same order. 6 minus 8. 6 minus 8. Alright, what do we know happens when I have minus a negative on the top here? It should be plus plus. So 1 plus 5 is 6. My marker will write 6. Hello. That is a 6. See if this will help. Try it again. 1 plus 5 is 6. There we go. And then 6 minus 8 is negative 2. Last, if I can simplify this, I want to go ahead and simplify it. So I know that 6 divided by negative 2, that would equal negative 3. When the signs are different, my answer is negative. And I know 6 divided by 2 is 3. Alright, one more. Copy down these 2 ordered pairs. If you feel like you're ready to try this one on your own, hit pause and try it on your own. If you still need me to walk you through this process, then just keep going with me. But I want everybody to write this example in their notes. This is example 3. So X, Y, X, Y. We're labeling those numbers so I know what goes where. We're writing our formula, change in Y over change in X. I'm going to start with the Y's and I'm going to subtract them. So 4 minus 4. Then the X's, negative 2 minus 1. Okay? What is 4 minus 4? 0. And then negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. Last thing to do is, what is 0 divided by negative 3? 0 divided by any number is 0. So my slope here is 0. Okay? So this process, you need to make sure that you're using the little formula change in Y over change in X. Remember the little triangle? Delta means change in mathematically. We label our ordered pairs X and Y, then we subtract the Y's, subtract the X's. Once we have our fraction, if we can simplify, we go ahead and simplify. Okay, last one, example 4, and then I'm going to let you get started on digits. Try this one on your own. Everybody should be ready to try this one on their own. Hit pause. When you're ready to check your answer, hit play. Alright, so I've got my points 5, negative 3, and negative 1, negative 2. I'm first going to label those as X, Y, X, Y. Next, I'm going to write my formula, change in Y over change in X. And I'm going to do negative 3 minus negative 2. Now, sometimes when we have negatives like that, it can get a little tricky. Make sure you know that you're subtracting every time. So even if you have a negative number, you still have to put but minus the negative number, okay? And then for the X, it's 5 minus negative 1. 5 minus negative 1. Now, for both the top and the bottom, I see minus a negative, so I'm going to go ahead and say plus, 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 plus. So now on the top, negative 3 plus 2, signs are different, so I subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. That's negative 1, and then 5 plus 1 is 6. So my slope here is negative 1, 6. If you have any questions, raise your hand and ask for help. Otherwise, you can go ahead and get started on the digits. You're going to be working from the, my bad. We have one more thing to talk about. Just kidding. So we just did that example. One more slide of notes. I've faked you out. I forgot about this. You're okay though. Copy this into your notes. How does slope affect a graph? I talked about this yesterday with the positive slope going up from left to right, the negative slope going down from left to right, but I need you to write this down in your notes. You don't need the formula because we already have that written down, but copy these 4 sentences down, okay, so that you will know what type of slope when we look at a graph. So when we have a line going up from left to right, that is a positive slope. When you have a line that goes down from left to right, that is a negative slope. When you have a horizontal line, that is a slope of 0. And then when you have a vertical line, we say that's an undefined slope. So let me show you. I'm going to draw a little picture, and I want you to draw this with each sentence. So up from left to right looks like this. My board would write that would be really fab. Okay. Try it again. There we go. All right, negative slope goes down from left to right. That looks like this. Remember, a horizontal line is going like this, sideways. That has a slope of 0. And then if you have a vertical line, the slope is undefined. So copy those 4 things down real quick. Okay. Now, what does undefined mean? Why does that mean what it means? Well, if I did rise over run here, I would start at this bottom point and go to the upper point. I would go up 1, 2 for my rise. But am I going to go left or right? I need to get from one point to the next? No. That would be 0 for the run. In math, it is impossible to divide by 0. You cannot do this. Okay? So if you have something over 0, that is what we call undefined. That's why with a vertical line, we have undefined slope. Because your run would be 0, because we don't go left or right any for the slope. All right, now you're ready for the digits. I'm so sorry. You did the first 5 problems from this digit yesterday, so you're going to finish it today and then also work on the IXLs.